Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ranting Politics. Today we're going to be looking at Donald Barr's space relations. Right now we're working on Section 3, Part 12. Mr. Pursuivant closed the door delicately behind Craig. The functionary, whose expression had changed in a few seconds from pouting hatred to surprise to boredom, said idly to Bastigliano, "Take him back to Corey, Rick, honey. That's a dear." The slaver's scarred face split in a derisive grin. "Come along, wholesome one," he said to Craig. "Not in your line, huh?" he resumed as they recrossed the dusty compound. Craig checked his pocket for the knife and answered mincingly, "An old prune like that." Bastigliano glanced at him sidewise and, after a moment, said tentatively, "Don't I remember you from the Sirius Clipper? No, it was the Star Queen. You burned your girlfriend's letters?" "Huh, she wasn't a girl," said Craig. "You don't say." "Hold it up." The two halted and regarded each other. "Want some action?" asked the slaver. Craig managed a giggle. "Right here? I got a place. I have to be back. Right now almost. You heard what the old fetty said, didn't you?" "I got a place right near here," said the slaver, "a few yards from where we're standing. Corey don't mind. I know Corey." "And suppose we get caught?" Craig whined. It's all very well for you, but they'll kill me." "Nobody's gonna catch nobody." "Well," said Craig, registering coy resignation, "let's see the place." Bastigliano led off in a new direction. Craig hurried along, his bare feet burning. With one hand he was working the blade of the pocket knife open in his pocket. They wove around several sheds and, after the slaver had worked furtively on a door lock, entered what seemed to be a warehouse. There were no signs of life. There was a smell of quiet dust that stirred in Craig the thought of vanished summers. The slaver switched on a single set of lights, yellow and remote above them. They made their way among dimly looming piles of crates and sacks until Craig found that they had entered a narrow hollow, like a crevasse, between two towering piles of sacks. The sacks, made of a porous fabric, were filled with some sort of dried root stuff that emitted a musky, winey odor. "Here we are," said the slaver breathily. "Here's where the action is." "What if someone hears us?" "Nobody can hear us." "I don't like it here," said Craig in a shaky voice. "What if you kill me afterward?" He took a grip on the open knife in his pocket. "Oh," said Bastigliano. "Why should I do that? I wouldn't destroy her ladyship's property." "If I did," he added candidly, "she'd have the hide off me. Never get out of this compound alive." There was a clink, the opening of a belt buckle. In the shadows, Craig could see the slaver's pants slide down and the indistinct gleam of flesh. Then a huge hand descended on Craig's head and pressed him ruthlessly down. "Don't stall, kid." The slaver's voice now had a vicious edge. "Better make it good." Craig let himself be pushed to his knees. With a swift movement, he drew the little knife and sliced at Bastigliano's naked groin, severing the femoral artery where it came out over the rim of the pelvis. The slaver screamed. The yell sounded curiously weak among the glossy piles of merchandise. At the same instant, Craig flung himself sideways to escape the spurt of blood, grasped at a column of socks, and, wedging his body behind them, with a desperate exertion, toppled it onto Bastigliano. The shrieks abruptly ceased. Craig was afraid for an instant that the heavy sacks had killed Bastigliano outright, but then heard a muffled groaning. He peered. The slaver's head, thorax, and arms were buried under several huge bags of roots. I do hope you can hear this, Mr. Rick Bastigliano. You will now bleed to death. The special virtue of this particular wound is that one part of the severed artery tends to retract into the pelvic bowl, making it impossible to staunch the blood. That's for Miss Cherry Carrot Top, whom you may remember. This is in addition to the 138 credits you've already paid. Craig could not make out the faint reply. If it makes you feel better, he added, you've also taken my virginity. First man I ever killed. He found that his bare feet were copiously wet with blood. He cut up some sacking and wiped them as clean as he could, cleansed his knife, and left, remembering to turn out the lights before emerging into the dazzling sunlight of the compound. One step outside, he was suddenly possessed by an idiotic desire to go back and explain things to Bastigliano more clearly. A fit of trembling overtook him, and for a moment, aware of the danger of loitering, he leaned against the wall of the warehouse. A few moments later, he shuffled up to where the gross Dr. Corey was bidding on a Syrian colonist, male, 40. The slim, blonde young woman, presumably her ladyship, asked Craig in a whisper, "What did Eustace Pursuivant want?" "Who, ma'am?" "Oh, the old queer." "Me, I suppose, ma'am." There was a flash of amusement in her face. "And what did he get?" "Nothing, ma'am." "Her ladyship?" "Not much of a difference." The bidding finished and the doctor turned. "Where is Bastigliano?" "Craig." Who, sir?" "The crewman who took you to Mr. Pursuivant." "He met a man on the way back. This man said he had a bottle of real squeed. Then the two of them said they would give me some if I would commit improper acts with them, but I declined, of course, ma'am, and they slapped me several times and gave me a nosebleed. Then they pushed me in here and went away, sir." "Squeed," said Dr. Corey. "He possessed squeed." "I didn't actually see the bottle, sir. Sir, I don't know what it is that makes me so attractive to abnormal people. It worries me, sir. I do hope I won't be meeting any more of them where I'm going." He ended on a pleading note. The young woman laughed. "Perhaps they were vegetarians," she said. All right, and that is the end of Section 12. Next we got Part 3, Section 13. "Next," said the man in a black smock. Craig stepped forward. Dr. Corey consulted his list. E9, Smith, John, Taryn male, 30, yes? Yes. Yes, what? The man in the black smock broke in reprovingly. "Yes, massa," said Craig. Dr. Corey looked at him sharply, then passed the matter over. The man in the black smock strapped Craig's left forearm to the top of the black cabinet, soft side down. "MS 43985, Dr. Corey dictated, and the man poked at the keyboard on the cabinet. "MS 43985, he repeated. "Correct," said Dr. Corey. The man punched a button. Craig felt a blaze of pain in his arm, opened his mouth soundlessly, and began to sag on his feet. The man slapped him across the cheek. Craig straightened. Dr. Corey said, "The pain will go away. The brand will never go away. There will be no infection. Do not trouble to complain about your arm." He marked his list. "Next." Excuse me, sir," said Craig. Dr. Corey looked up, surprised. "What does MS stand for, sir?" "Curiosity is the hunger of reason." "So. They are the initials of the Lady Morgan Sidney. You are now her property." "Next," said the man in the black smock impatiently. All right, and that'll be it for space relations. This has been Part 3, Sections 12 and 13. I think it's going to be a shorter episode today. It looks like to me like there has been some retribution for the horrible, scene we saw earlier against that kid on that ship. That's at least what I'm getting out of it. It definitely seems like he is not pro-child rape, as we can see. I mean, the bad guy got, bled to death, killed, like a pretty savage way to die. So yeah, man. Donald Barr, maybe you are the victim of conspiracy in this case, because it definitely seems like you... I mean, it's a story about slavery, but clearly you are not a fan of slavery. I mean, based on how you're representing things. So maybe I don't know, I feel like I should apologize a little bit because I feel like I've had the wrong idea. Because, I mean, let's face it, it is pretty gross subject matter. Like, just to write something like this, you kind of do have to be in a weird headspace, to say the least. Anyway, that'll be it for this episode. I'll try to get section 14 of part 3 out soon. It'll probably be paired with section 15, but we will see. Until then, I hope you have a nice day. This has been Ranting Politics. Take care. Bye-bye.